Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Frame Fatales. My name is Listar, and I'll be commentating this run of OneShot for you with LaurieDBunnykins. Hi, friend.
Hello. I'm very excited. Welcome to OneShot. Continuing in the Loom block here, we have a kind of puzzle-based adventure made in RPG Maker. It's made in RPG Maker, but it's more for like the engine than the battles. This isn't an RPG. If you want that, you're gonna have to wait a bit. But I'll be moving around. I'll be menuing. It's almost like one. We'll just get started. I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
Before we do, I do want to let y'all know we do have a poll going on right now for this. Let me grab the link and post it in chat. So this poll, basically, if you vote on it, that's the ending that we choose. It is really close. It's 51% Return to the Sun, 49% Return Nico Home. I will not give you any kind of push in either direction, because honestly, I kind of want it to stay 50-50. It's really interesting.
I will tell you, though, if you do want one, I think it ends in about 15 minutes, Muffin said. So...
Yes. In 15 minutes, we will announce which one won. So... go ahead and get your votes in.
Yep.
All right, we're ready to go, Laurie. Whenever
we're ready to go. Not movement, but timing starts when I gain control of the character. So about half a second after I go through this text box. So I guess I'll count down and hope my countdown intervals are exact seconds. Starting from 3 and ending on go, I'm going to be 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
All right, yeah, so immediately I mentioned this game is made in RPG Maker. You can kind of notice that. I didn't read that correctly. Okay, I did get that right. So that's one of 2 bits of luck in this run, is the code on that television remote. I have to bring it to the window. That looks like it's hard to read because the text is moving really fast. I'm actually... gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not playing this in an officially released version of the game yet. I'm actually on a staging branch given to runners of the game right now that has automatic text mashing, so you don't have to hear me mashing my keyboard for the whole run, and it's faster than I can mash my keyboard. That also makes it pretty accessible if this is a game that interests you yourself. You can get into it without hurting your wrists much, because hurting your wrists is definitely a thing that would happen in this game. But now we're picking up the light bulb, which is a key item here. As I went through this starting area of the house, I actually used a little bit of a setting. This game has a colorblind mode. That TV remote that I almost failed, there's colors on it usually that make it even harder to do. But I didn't use those because it makes it harder to do, and the text box is only there for like a very small amount of time. I was fortunate to even be able to read that. But now we're out of the house here, and we're going to be in the first major area of the game, the Barrens. So this game is, unless you want to count house as a major area, which is really more of a major reset point than a major area, you have 4 major areas of the game, and the Barrens is the first one. Each of them is like color themed, so this one, Barrens blue, start with the same color. Having a weird bit of lag right now, but okay, there we go. The game was unhappy. As soon as we step outside, we gain the ability to fast travel, which is extremely useful. As soon as we visit a screen for the first time, I'm able to go to that screen anytime. As long as I can fast travel, I can't fast travel indoors, so... here's ProfitBot, and ProfitBot gives us a lot of our early game exposition. We don't have to listen to all of it. We just have to listen to the one about the computer in the house, where we learn that I'm not actually playing as Nico, who's this character here, but I'm instead playing as the god of this world, who is guiding Nico on a quest to restore the sun to the top of the tower, which is how we save this world, because it's kind of in shambles right now. We have to sleep in each area. This game does a lot of fourth wall breaking because It's a very story-based game. When there's not like battling enemies to do, it's very focused on the narrative, and it does a lot of its character building with Nico by having Nico talk directly to you. This ends up with a lot of the game actually being in our control and doing things outside of the realm of the game, which I'll get to later. But one of those things is we have to get a mandatory cutscene by sleeping once in each area. I do the sleep pretty early in this area because I can get the metal rod that was in that house early, and then I can make it into the crowbar now, which will be useful later. And here with the fast travel, I'm doing what's called a super fast travel. So I mentioned fast traveling. With 2 exceptions, you get the ability to fast travel onto a screen the first time you load onto it. But you always fast travel to a predetermined point on the screen, and sometimes to get to that point, it's faster to fast travel off the screen and back on instead of going to that point manually. So here we have Silver, another major character, and we need to step into her house not only to get the screwdriver, but to let her know that we exist, so that she can open the mines entrance for us. And the mines have an item we need, as well as a story-based cutscene here. To the right there is actually a post-game exclusive area. So this game has like a post-game chapter with some different things going on, and those mines are much more prevalent in that. But in the any percent run, we're not in New Game Plus, so we just have to do the normal game. And here I'm going to be doing a craft. So right now what I needed to do is I need to power on all these robots by putting a battery into this generator. But crafting, you can combine items to do different things with them or turn them into different items. And in this run, what we like to do in order to not have to constantly open and close the menu is we like to collect a bunch of items and then do a craft all at once. So I was collecting a bunch of items from different areas of the map, and then you suddenly saw me just make the battery in one go. So here, actually the game put a code in my computer's documents right there to open that safe. And I'd like to give a shout out to a person in the community, Firestrike, who made a program to be able to read that document as soon as it opens, so I don't need to find a time in between getting the code and getting to the safe to open a notepad file. But with that, we get a gas mask, which lets us into the Northern Barrens, where there's more stuff we need to do. So essentially our goal is to get to the tower, which is in the middle of the world. And to do so, we need to get a ride on this robot, who is in a boat. However, they were not powered on at first, but now that the robots are powered on, he's all rusty because he's not been powered on in a while. So we need to get some cleaning supplies. This game is kind of silly on top of like all of what's going on. Like, you have a goal, and it's a serious goal, but the ways you get there are kind of silly. You're going to see later on a really silly puzzle in particular. But for now, we're just going to finish on the cleaning supplies. Barrens is a pretty big and open area, as the name would imply, so a lot of super fast traveling is good just to get to specific parts of the map quicker. And now we're going to work on getting our wet sponge. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go over to this robot and chat for a bit. The game is kind of you're supposed to use this robot as a checkpoint to know what you're supposed to do in this area, but since I'm doing almost everything with them at once, I have to watch a lot of cutscenes in a row there. But once that's done, we figure out that we're not quite done because the robots kind of like can't remember where to go because it's been so long. So we have to go to Silver, who's the head engineer, and get this amber, and then we have to play a game of chess for story reasons. The chess isn't particular to the story, but what we learn during the chess game about this world is important to the story. But the amber will help the robot remember where to go, and that's how we leave the barrens here. So right here, what happened there was we dumped a lot of our items out because we won't need them in our inventory for the rest of the run. However, we're actually keeping the amber. And the amber is one of 3 key items that we're going to need to access the last area of the game. What it necessarily does, I'll get into later, but for now, I'm still going to have that. So that's why the game wanted me to go back to get it. But now we're in the Glen, which is my favorite area, personally. It's very pretty. You can see all the fireflies. They're not nice to some weaker PCs. Notably, when the devs streamed this game on the 1-year anniversary, these fireflies were lagging up the stream horribly for this part of the game. Speaking of the devs, though, I'd like to give a shout-out to the Little Cat Feet team, because 2 of the 3 people on the team are actually speedrunners themselves. Night Margin, who did all the art for this game and did an amazing job, doesn't speedrun, but Gur aka Cheezer is a speedrun of Hyper Light Drifter, and Eliza Game Dev is a speedrunner of the Elder Scrolls series. So they both did that before they worked on a game together, and it's pretty cool. Because of that, they're very friendly to the speedrun community, actually. Specifically, again, I'm running on an automatic mashing that they were able to implement, and that's awesome. But moving into the Glen here, the immediate conflict we're faced with is that Calamis's sister is missing. Calamus being that bird that we talked to when we went south of the entrance. So the only thing we can really do right now is try to find his sister. And there's a lot of vines blocking places, so to get rid of the vines, we need to talk to a side character down here named Maze, who is trying to stay alive, but struggling. And the vines are to try and, like, stay strong. But we're going to just help her relax in her final moments like she wants by giving her the sun for this area. And that's going to let the vines recede and give us access to more parts of the area. Maze is the sole purpose behind this game's only side quest. So there isn't a 100% run of this game where you have to get a combination of items in order to kind of regrow Maze after she passes at the end of this area. But this is one of the passages right here that was opened by the removal of the vines, and I'm messing up this puzzle a little bit. This is another puzzle. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just burst in real quickly?
Yes.
So Return Nico Home is now winning by just a few votes. It's 51-49 still, with Return Nico Home barely eking through. We have 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and spam it again in chat. If y'all haven't voted, vote on which ending you would like in this game. Thank you.
All right, yeah, and with that, during Liz talking about that, I saved Alula, who is Calamis's sister, with a puzzle that seems like there were no hints for the solution. When I talked to that computer and it put a code in my documents, every area has something like that happening. However, once you get out of the barrens, there's actually, like, no luck involved with the puzzles. So I just learned that off of memory in order to complete that puzzle there. And speaking of puzzles, it's important that I did the rest of that silent for obvious reasons. But yeah, that is... We're kind of taking Alula on a little tour right now before actually returning her. And that is because to get out of the Glen and get to the next part of the world, which is the Refuge, we need to get, like, some sort of pen, or like just any sort of writing utensil to sign a scroll. And there's 2 halves to that. One of them is Alula, and one of them is that shepherd with the rams, which I needed to drop the sun off at Maze to be able to accept the ram quest. So the routing to get Alula at the beginning just kind of works out that way. Also because the north entrance to the ruins is blocked off. Yeah, it's blocked off until you get rid of the vines. So, but now we have actually the 2 parts of the pen we're going to make. We have some dye from trading in the wool we got from the shepherd with Magpie, a side character, near the North Ruins entrance, and then we got the feather. So we can use a feather pen, which is... I've never used a feather pen in real life, so I think it's cool. But the feather is golden, and we got it as like a keepsake from Calamus and Alula for reuniting them after Alula got lost, and it's the second one of our golden items, just like the amber was a golden item, so we'll be able to use that later. But for now, we're basically done with the Glen. There's one thing I haven't done yet, and that is, if you remember what I mentioned about the Barrens, I haven't gone to sleep yet and watched the cutscene that happens when you go to sleep here. Fortunately, the gate, which is where I need to go to Refuge, is where the bed is, and you fast travel right in front of it when you fast travel to the gate. So I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. This is a hopeful point in the game right now. Like, when you are in the Barrens, everything seems kind of hopeless because it's really dark, and not a lot of the characters there are very confident that, you know, the sun will actually save the world, which, by the way, we have kind of personal stakes in the sun, because not only are we the one foretold by prophecy to put it back, but also, as far as we know, it's our only way of getting home. So it's kind of like saving the world is good and all, but Nico's main interest is getting home. And I lost my train of thought there. But it's a hopeful point of the game, what I was saying. With Calamus and Alula being reunited, and Nico kind of just like... It's contrasted when you don't have the light most of the area, but... Now we're getting into Refuge. We're getting closer and closer by the... like, what we need to do to save the world and get back home. However, when we were leaving the Glen, we were told about the library that is good for us to go to in the Refuge. However, it's on the ground, and we're currently not on the ground. So the first part of the Refuge here is we have to fix the elevator to get us onto the ground. The button panel is broken. There's no button there. So we need to make a button. I'm already sleeping here. I'm doing a bit of a weird route because the room that this bed is in is very strange. There's no point for it on the map. There's no or not no point for it on the map, but like it has no fast travel point. It has different properties from other indoor areas and that you can fast travel out of it. And it's a loading zone directly into a very weird portion. But being able to fast travel out of it, it's easy to get that sleep as soon as possible because we can do a fast travel chain. So I technically did a super fast travel into the cafe there. However, instead of just doing it instantly, I slept in between the second fast travel. And that's going to be important once we get into the ground part of the Refuge, is chaining your fast travel so that you, you know, can get where you need to be without walking extra tiles, but still have things accessible for later. Kind of like micromanagement, but you have a very straight set path, so you're kind of just like jumping to different portions of a straight line, which is kind of interesting, and then you're breaking the game, but we'll get to that. So in these apartments, we've been picking up a few items, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to make an elevator button. Fun fact, if we were to use everything we had to make the elevator button and then put it in the slot in the panel, we would fail and get an item called the You Tried, which is just a good little bit of humor, I guess. We can cut out the word ground on this metal can and then attach some fridge magnets to it and then tape the magnets to the part of the can. And that will make a working magnetic button. However, the elevator does this think if the game is running at all. Oh, I never equipped the button. I have a really weird setup for this marathon, so I don't have the best audio going through. So I thought the game was like frozen, but I just didn't have the button equipped, so it didn't get put in the slot. But that code there is not random like the other two previous in the game, and that is actually, you might notice that if it's on the category layout, I'm not looking at the layout itself right now, but this is the Steam release of the game. This was originally released as a freeware game on June 30th, 2014, and the elevator code is the same every time. It's that date. It's 6/30/14. So here we're in an elevator, and we're going to ask for some exposition, because if you go through every exposition option, it's faster than doing the wait through the awkward silence option. I think it makes us weird for having a conversation in an elevator. I'm pretty sure that's, like, frowned upon, but, I mean, we're a cat. My game... Okay, no, it didn't crash. That was really weird. But we're in the ground refuge now. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be setting up our fast travel chain for later. Namely, what we need to do is we want to do a super travel into the library here, while also getting the vendor street fast travel point. And with that done, we're going to be doing a glitch. So as I mentioned, there's an original version of this game. If you close the game in the original version with using the bed, Nico would die. And you would have wasted your one shot. However, in the Steam version, since you kind of paid money for it, so it would be rude to have the character die and lock you out of the game forever, Nico just gets really scared. You can play that cutscene of Nico getting really scared on top of other cutscenes if you close the game while Nico is in the middle of walking. And by doing so with that tile behind the library desk, we skip a cutscene that has a trigger to push Nico backwards a tile. And by skipping that trigger, it lets us skip behind the library desk without the use of a library. And that saves several minutes. Because it skips essentially the entire puzzle that takes place in the ground refuge and lets us just go straight to the part of the game where we get our third golden item. So this character, George, the head librarian, we gave her a book. When we got the gas mask back in the Barrens, we also got a book. And she translates the book for us while we sleep there. And it reads that to enter the tower, which is where we need to put the sun, we need to notice something interesting about a floor pattern involving 3 pieces of the old sun. And 3 pieces of the old sun means 3 items with yellow phosphor, which, thanks to George giving us a special dice, we now have in the form of that dice, the amber that Silver gave us, and the feather that Alula and Calamus gave us. So with that being said, we're all ready to enter the tower, which is the final portion of this game. Once I just go over here quickly. It's a bit of a long walk. So that's called Kip Skip, and I guess I can explain that because we're going to be doing one of those again. So that what I mentioned when you're able to kind of play one cutscene over another by closing the game, that's what's called a quit glitch. And it's called that because you can glitch past things by quitting. And that's used a lot more in Solstice Run category, which is kind of like this game's true ending. You can skip a lot of cutscenes with that. You can skip a whole bunch of cutscenes with that, but it's not very useful because sometimes you need that cutscene for a reason, or it's just faster to mash through a few seconds of it. But since you skip a barrier there, it's obviously quicker. Here, once I'm in this dark void, I count to 4 while holding right, so before moving down, so I know how to find this computer without kind of stumbling in the darkness. So here, I have something open in the background. This computer that usually communicates with us directly is actually communicating with Nico right now to try and get Nico to not wake up and fall asleep in that bed and think the job is finished. However, there's a program that appears in a folder in your documents around this time of the game that tells you to reopen the game with that open. And what that is the author of the world talking to you directly. And what they're going to do is that application is going to change what it looks like every screen of this upcoming section. And it'll be like different pieces of paper, and each one will have a clover cutout. We're supposed to equip the clover that we just got in our pocket so it appears in the bottom right corner, and then line up the clover cutout with the in-game clover that we have equipped so that we know the way through here. But since it's not random, I decided to go ahead and memorize this whole sequence of the maze. So I don't have to painstakingly do that every time. But this is a part of the game where basically what's happening is the author, the creator of the world, is trying to communicate with us directly while we can't communicate with Nico. And what they're telling us is, despite what we've been thinking this whole time, we're actually not able to both save the world and return Nico home to to their own home. Return Nico home to their own world. In this order of doors, I accidentally went in the wrong door because I was a bit too hasty on one of my inputs, and I messed everything up, but we're through now. The way we remember that doors is we kind of like grid it and then line it up left to right. So in a room with, say, 5 doors, the leftmost door is 1 and the rightmost door is 5. And then I remember a sequence of numbers and go through the doors based on that sequence of numbers. And then this part is just remembering the shapes of tiles. This is actually a very kind of, these tile puzzles, a lot of runners don't like these because the only way to unpress a tile is to step on it again. And you can start very big chain reactions of just like undoing all the work you need to do very quickly. Like I'm kind of getting into here. I'm going to do this. Yeah, as you might notice, I've started a very big chain reaction, just like stepping on one tile that I need to get rid of, and then getting rid of a tile that I actually do need. But I'm through the tower now, that last shape being a light bulb. So now we're very close to the end of the game. So I guess now's a good time to tell me the winner of that poll.
Sure. The winner of the poll is Return Nico Home with 51% of the vote.
Dang, that's close. Before we get to the ending, though, I'm going to do another quick glitch on these stairs. So if you remember at the beginning of the game, there were these stairs and walking up them was really slow. Doing that, by doing a quick glitch on the transition into stair physics, we can not have stair physics, but then it kind of messes up the game when it takes us off of stair physics and changes our collision. So we cancel our collision for the last like 5 screens of the game. And it's pretty funny. It saves 10 seconds because we don't have to go through a very long that has a log in it. And here, I don't need to activate this elevator from the back, but it's funny. So I'm going to activate the elevator from the back, and time's going to be 1. So that's like 5 seconds from now. And time.
GG.
All right. So here's our ending. We're in this area. By breaking the light bulb at the top, in that elevator is a scene where you kind of realize that what that author just told you about how you can't both save the world and save Nico. The elevator is basically where you tell Nico to choose one. So by breaking the light bulb and being able to return Nico home mean we literally just killed the world we traveled through.
F.
Yeah, so F to the world.
F.
And Nico's gonna walk off screen. It's not showing on stream right now, but if I had like display capture up, you can see Nico would appear at the bottom of the game window and just straight on walk down, like through my taskbar and off screen. So it's pretty cool what this game's able to do. This game is just amazing in general. I recommend picking it up yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a post-game chapter in this game, so that like talks a lot more about the story. So there's part of the story that is still to experience even if you watch this run. This game it's a game that's very important to me. I started running it back about a bit under 2.5 years ago. And this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's a game that means a lot to me. And I really, for the small community of runners that this game has, I really can't ask for a better group of people. So big shout outs to everybody in this community, really, for just being amazing and bringing me here, really. They're all just a wonderful group of people that help me keep my spirits up whenever I just think about this game, and I'm really fortunate that, I don't have one of my favorite games of all time and not good, because I love being there so much. But this isn't like the only game I run. I've run a lot of games but thank you for watching this game. And speaking of me running other games, stay tuned for Octopath Traveler.
Yes, Octopath Traveler will be right back, friends. So don't go anywhere. Thank you again, Laurie, and we'll see you in just a few moments.